Miguel is like a knight. When I consider his vibe and just his flow, his musical and spiritual lingo, what he's communicating, he's like a sheik. What is your origin, brother? Let me see. I'm gonna look him up, okay? But he said that he wants people to find his music. That's a message that you would have to seek. You would have to long for it and yearn for it, to be curious enough to say that you want to find it. I want you to look for my music. That is a hell of a statement. And I found myself looking for the All I Want Is You joint. I was looking for it. I mean, it's gratitude and it's love. I stay there, okay? That's where I be at. I guess where I was thinking about it earlier, a couple of days ago. I'm saying earlier like it was today, but it wasn't, but like a couple of days ago. How there's times that I was going through like the absolute worst. And it's like my world can be falling down around me. It can be falling down around me. But I find myself like feeling untouchable. I used to feel untouchable in a relationship. And it may have been a false sense of security, but that's genuinely what I felt. I feel like that when I'm by myself, despite the many things happening. The parts of me that if you knew. And people just don't know exactly how. They don't know how to get you, how to hurt you. They don't know how to hurt. It's just a lot of projections, so they do the thing that
they think would make you hurt, that would make you embarrassment. That's the thing that they would dread the most. Public humiliation. To be stripped down to nothing, financially anyway.
I'm just saying. And they see that I'm still standing, like you're probably still standing. Like the Who's at the end of How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
They're like, what is it that gives you that type of joy? That type of power?
It's a lot to do with not giving a fuck. And then the parts that I do care about, like you wouldn't even know it because those things mean nothing to you, to those people. I think if I got more sleep. No, I'm going to say even if I didn't get more sleep, I've always had dark circles. Like, I've always had that. Someone told me that I met who was from one of the islands. That whatever color my eyelid is perfectly contrasts the color of my eyes and the rest of my skin. And I find that to be true. But at the same time...
It does.
You think so?
Yeah.
So people always think I have on makeup and I don't. I remember the first time I saw someone that had... it's ombre. What she thought was eye discoloration. Well, she knew that it wasn't. I thought she had on makeup. It was actually... I'm going to cut this part out, that part. But it was... I was like... Money can pay for time, but that's not love. Okay, so I kind of wanted to explain what it is. What it is right now is I have finally come through a very long heartbreak. And I know this because there was a time that I could not listen to love songs. That's how I knew my heart was broken, when I couldn't. And it's like I can feel genuine joy for other people and their success in their relationships, but I didn't see it for myself because all I saw was the mistrust. And like the biggest thing about infidelity and being in abusive relationships, period, is people trying to, for me, that were so caught up in their deception and what they were doing that they didn't care that they would try to bend my mind against itself. And I would be like, you would rather me think that I'm crazy, or I have whoever the hell you're venting to think I'm crazy, than to just admit that you've messed it up, that you made a different decision. I mean, like, that was like the biggest thing. And so those are some of the things that would come back to me whenever I would feel those feelings of love and longing when I would listen to certain music. It was mainly because like I was so out of touch with all of the possible lyrics, the dating, all of that. Like none of it actually applied to me. Just like, remember I told you guys that my dad had us where we were any of the music of the greats. I'm not going to start naming artists, but if they're women talking about being the other woman, you are projecting, artistically projecting your longings for another woman's man. Like my father was like, you can't be chanting that and singing that. What are you saying, daughter, with your mouth? And then I met a man that asked me, he kept reminding me, who made your mouth? Who made my mouth? This is a conscious rant. You're going to have to just kind of come with me, okay? I'm just expressing here, just stuff that I actually am working through. Obviously, I'm talking to you about it. So, okay, I'm done right now. Okay, and just briefly, and the way that it made me doubt myself. Like if you love somebody so much, like I know that what I was expressing in my last video, it suggests like I'm just reflecting the side of people who would have made a really big mistake. Whether they're happy in their next relationship or not, but I'm just saying that didn't mean that I didn't feel all of those feelings of betrayal, that I didn't feel picked over, forgotten, taken for granted, all of the things that just an array of emotions. And knowing that I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything to cause you to feel however you feel and you feel and you feel. When I know that I can say that I stood honorably in a relationship. not trying to throw any blame on anyone or to excuse myself or throw paint on somebody else's canvas. It's not like that. But anyway, I couldn't listen to love songs and even some movies. And like, it made sense because I was with some people, male and female, friends and romantic, that they, like, we couldn't, like, some of the chicks couldn't watch those good old girl, chick flicks and girl movies that, that advocate sisterhood and just beautiful friendships. Like, some of the guys couldn't watch shows about people, like justice coming to people who had been deceived. You know, you getting busted and justice coming to you. You can't watch something like that with someone that you're actively deceiving, that you're actively playing with. And I kind of knew it intuitively when those opportunities would, present themselves, and I would just be like, oh, you would be against this because of your current position that you want to act like doesn't exist.
Bye bye.
I'm just saying, I mean, people would take me for granted in my mind because I am intelligent, and they think that that means that I'm not spiritually in tune and can fully see what they were doing. But I'm just saying, there was I processed things so long, and the mind does that. Everyone's mind does that, actually. Whereas most of the time we're not conscious of it. When you pick something up, chew on it, digest it, swallow it, digest it, and then regurgitate it and go over it again, just because there's so many ways that it can make sense. Our minds are always processing these things. I listen to mine. I like to peek in and listen. And I let myself work through it. Like, I'm so grateful for moments like this and like that. Those are the things that I share with you. They're kind of emotional, spiritual. Aha. Anyway, I won't just say that like my heart is unbroken. I will say that I can listen to love songs, and for a long time I couldn't. Not without genuinely feeling some sense of sadness, a lack of my reflection. It's like going and trying to buy a greeting card that the card is filled with so many words of passion and endearing terms, and just the sentiment is so beautifully articulated on a card, on a little postcard. I mean, knowing inside, like, I feel like that, but that doesn't match the person that I'm getting it for. And that was hard. I was like, am I in the description? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, I weigh myself. I would do that silently. I think that the one gentleman that told me that I was a lost soul, I think that it bothered him for me to be processing it out loud like I was. Like, well, if I stayed at my place and you stayed at your place, you would never hear it. But you wanted me to come over. I don't know what you have to talk about. These are the kinds of things that I talk about. So you just wasn't digging it. Okay. I genuinely didn't know. But anyway. And then Yasin Bey. My mommy said, shine your light on the world. Shine your light for the world to see. I ain't no perfect man. I'm trying to do the best that I can with what it is I have. Why isn't anybody asking, so what happened between you and her? What actually happened? What happened? Okay, I get it that she said blah, blah, blah. She did blah, blah, blah for the people who are gossiping, right? The gossipers. You should be asking the person that's gossiping and trying to bend your mind about someone else that you don't even really know. You need to be asking them, so what did that person do to you? Or what does this have to do with you? What we're talking about right now, what does it have to do with you? That's what people need to be asking. Because the person talking will usually resort to, I just can't stand that bit. That's all they'll ever have is, I just can't stand her. No one, well, when I had friends and I listened as a friend, when I was the listener and I was the audience, the friend audience, I was very mindful when people would talk that a lot of times we were speaking from an emotional place. And it's not to say that there's no logic in emotions. However, a friend will hold you accountable. Real friends hold you accountable for your judgments that you cast against someone else, for actions, things that you're doing, emotional, spiritual, mental, moral crimes that you're committing, like how we judge, prosecute, and execute others internally, and then we project that to people who, I won't say we because I don't do that to anyone, but the gossipers and the mischief makers, they project their feelings and their ideas to others who are, not only are they obviously on the outside of a situation, but like it really isn't fair that they're being drug into the place, into conversations about people that's just like, you have nothing else to talk about. Because for me, if you go talking about someone and something that they're doing where they're moving in error, my very first thought is finding out the truth, the root to the issue. The real reason that we're having this conversation is because you're jealous or because you're angry. And as a friend or a participating member of the audience that you obviously hand selected, when I hear someone moving in error, processing things in error. I feel a heavy conviction, not necessarily to correct it, because that's not our jobs to just be correcting each other, but just to kind of introduce some other perspectives that may counter the perspective of the speaker. I don't want to keep calling people gossipers, because people be venting in their minds. They're venting. But if your venting places someone else in a negative light that is untrue, it's not truth-based, I just think that that's so unfair. And that is the definition of manipulation. When you have to bend someone else's idea, to your idea, you're having to convince them about the character of someone else, because there are some people who have spoken negatively about me, completely neglecting all of the deposits of my own contribution to people's memories. It's like people have observed me. They've been observing me for days, weeks, months, years. They will have observed and gotten a very fair feel of my character. And so there actually will be no just reason for anyone. So there would be no just reason for anyone to just try to bring. Anyway, let me just stop. I'm supposed to be out here catching the sunrise, but I'm in a valley. I'm in a valley, and so it hasn't peaked. I'm from over these buildings and trees. That's why I was trying to get to the higher elevation so I could see it. So note to self, when I move into a house, it needs to be on a hill, or it needs to be on an island where there's nothing obstructing the view of the sun. Okay. All right. That made me think, well, I need to dust my passport. I was saying I need to dust my passport off. I will. So what happens when the illusion breaks? What happens when the truth unravels itself in front of the inevitable audience? How does that work? When a misconception or a preconception has been shattered by a reality. When you get to see the depths and the lengths that someone went to deceive, to cast an illusion. And then the part that they chose for you, that you played in by listening and allowing yourself to be manipulated into being a puppet. Do this, do that. And they tried to make sense of the order. You've been ordered, you've been called into duty, and you don't even realize it. Smear campaigns, reputation, thieves. This one lady was talking about, yeah, we just need to rebrand you, Teneca. I'm like, rebrand me? I haven't even done anything. I was like, I haven't done anything. My smiles are sincere. My efforts are genuine. And people will think what they will because they choose to. Everyone has responsibility. Anyway, so I'm up here catching the sun. Yeah, it'd be like that. It's all in there. It's all in there. Reading about myself, about my observations of myself. I am the spectacle in my diary, in my journal. I know they say ignorance is... See, that's the thing. We are all becoming. I am becoming. You are not now what you're meant to actually be. So I try to be patient with people, and I'm super patient with myself. And how I show up right now, it might not be how I show up in 5 or 10 years with a little more experience, a little more tenure in this body. A little more tenure in this body. I know that I am parched. I know. I can just hear some of my elders right now. If you don't start drinking more water right now, your voice is going to be stuck like that. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to fix it. Okay.
Unstoppable force or immovable object.
On a clear day, how it will astound you.